I read The Disaster Tourist, which is actually only my second book by a South Korean author, and this was definitely a ride. Um, it starts out pretty normal, but by the end, it is kind of out there, and yeah, this was another relatively short book, and it follows Unico, and she works for a disaster travel agency, and it follows her when she goes on vacation with one of their packages, and things take a very odd turn when she gets stranded, and she has a very hard time getting back home, and so she decides to make the best of a bad situation. And this island that she's on, because it has so little tourism, so little anything, people are very hard up. So the higher ups in the resort that is part of her disaster trip have decided, along with other people, that they're going to stage a disaster. And it gets really dark really fast, and a lot of the ending is, like I said, just kind of out there, and I don't want to give too much more up. So if it sounds at all interesting to you, I would definitely say pick it up. And this is a book that's less than 200 pages. It's like 7 chapters, but I really do think it has an impact. I read Violet Made of Thorns, which I believe is a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. At least it appears to be. But it is a little bit different in the fact that there are prophecies that can be made and seers, and the titular character, Violet, is one of these seers, and she has learned over the past 8 years, from 10 to 18, in the service of the king, how to word her prophecies vaguely so that people don't discount them, but they also are not able to necessarily say for 100% that she was right. It'd be kind of like, I foresee that you will have a good crop, and perhaps your actual crops fail, but you give birth to, or your wife gives birth to triplets, say, then she could kind of spin that as that was the crop I meant. And so that kind of brings an interesting dimension into it with her, although it does get kind of tiresome. She's always prickly, not very nice. I don't see very many redeeming qualities for her, although she's not necessarily bad. She's just not necessarily somebody you'd want to be friends with. And then her and the prince, of course, are at odds, so it is kind of an enemies to lovers, and their banter does remind me a little bit of the Cruel Prince in a way. However, it's not quite to the same level, but it's very close. And in all honesty, this was just an okay book. I feel like they wanted it to be a duology when it went for publishing, and so the author kind of stretched what should have been one book into 2. I did feel like there's kind of a lot of build-up that there was no payoff in this book. And, I mean, it's still worthwhile if you enjoy fairy tale type things, and if you like the fun banter between characters, because there was definitely that. But other than that, it was a miss for me. But if you pick it up, I do hope you like it more. So I finished a photograph book, and this is called The Planets, which is a collection of photographs, obviously, of all the planets in our solar system, as well as including the Sun, Pluto, Ceres, and an asteroid as well that I can't remember the name of because it's got a lot of numbers in it. And I thought this was a pretty cool book. The photographs were honestly pretty much all quite spectacular, and the ones that weren't necessarily, bright and amazing, I thought were amazing in their historical significance. Beings, like the first picture taken of this planet, the most detailed picture of this particular spot on a planet. And there was a lot of really good information in the captions with them, that told you specifically like what moon of Saturn or Jupiter you were looking at, and then like what the Great Red Spot on Jupiter actually was. They gave the explanation that that was a storm and caused by the atmospheric winds, and then it gave explanations of the moon Enceladus, where you see the kind of bright spot. It explains that that's the geyser, and it had a really good introduction by Bill Nye, and it was just a really good book overall, and I found it absolutely fascinating, and I think it's something that anybody could enjoy at least looking through. Not everybody obviously would find all the little astronomical tidbits contained in the captions as interesting, but a lot of the images, especially the images of the sun that they had near the end, they were quite spectacular. And yes, it was something I really enjoyed. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any other, National Geographic type pictures, photograph books. But I'm definitely going to be looking for those in the future. So I finished listening to Secretly Yours, which is the newest book from Tessa Bailey. And so far, I've only read 2 others of her books, and that was the Bollinger Sisters duology. And I did find them pretty entertaining, and I found Secretly Yours pretty entertaining as well. I did feel at times, though, like Hallie kind of acted rather juvenile. She's 29, and I do feel like sometimes she acts more like she's, early 20s, if even that old, just because of the fact that she's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. She just comes across as very juvenile and young, and part of this may be due to her upbringing, because she does say her mother was kind of flighty, and they constantly moved around, reinvented themselves, and then having just lost her grandmother not that long ago, and her grandmother was basically like her stability. It does kind of make sense, but she still just comes across as very juvenile. And I did kind of think the Secret Admirer letters, they were sort of cute, but I felt like it took way too long for that part of the plot to be resolved. And then the third act breakup was a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. Like, I can understand the whole, panic attack thing, but when he just leaves because, I'm having this panic attack, and it's written as he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's leaving, and he knows why he's leaving. Now, the fact that then for 2.5 weeks he's kind of out of it, that part does make sense, because earlier on he has mentioned that when he does have the panic attack and it gets to be too much, he will zone out for a fair amount of time, a couple weeks. So that part at least made sense. But why couldn't he have just stayed? And I mean, I get that he doesn't want Hallie to see him like that. But it didn't feel that realistic to me. But all in all, this was a pretty fun, light rom-com. And I feel like Tessa Bailey's very good at that. She does write these fun little rom-coms. And yeah, it was fun. If you enjoy adult romances, I could definitely recommend it. It is definitely an adult romance. It does have, the moments in there. And yeah, so I believe this is going to be the only audiobook I will have in this video. So I will see you in the next one. So I've been reading a lot of mangas from the library, and over the past couple months, I read 18 volumes of Snow White with the Red Hair, and this is a Soho Beat manga, and it's kind of just a calm, relaxing fantasy story about a girl named Shirayuki, which translates to Snow White, and she obviously has red hair, hence the title. And it just kind of follows her life, learning more about herbs. She wants to be an herbalist, and it follows her doing that and making friends and falling in love, and the growing relationship she has with the man she falls in love with. And I just thought all the relationships were really well done. All the friendships were really well done. Everything was really cute. The castles, the backgrounds, the cities, everything was just really, really gorgeously drawn. And the romantic relationship was really well done. It didn't take over the story. And it was just very supportive, and neither her nor Zen tried to tell the other what to do, other than just the basic please be careful sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it, and I really recommend it for anybody who likes fantasy. I also caught up with the manga Blue Period over the past several months. I read volumes 5 through 12, and this continues to be a really good series. It was something I wasn't entirely sure I would like that much. It's about art, and while I do like art, the study of it and actually, going into the details of how to paint well and do this as a profession, go to school to be an artist, is something that I'm not necessarily super interested in. But this is another series that has really great characters. It has really good writing, and it's actually following the characters a lot further into life than I thought. This volume 12 brings us up to the start of Yakatora's second year of college, and it starts out in his second year of high school. So obviously 12 volumes to take place over 4 years, that's not necessarily a whole lot, but I feel like there's a lot of character development in each volume, there's a lot of growth, and Yakitora really learns a lot about himself, I feel, in each volume, and he really helps all his friends grow as well. And I feel like this is one that's a little more niche. If you really enjoy doing art, or if you're just really into that Bildungsroman coming of age story, this is definitely coming of age, and it has a lot of that teen, young adult, what do I want to do with my life? Where do I belong? And that sort of soul searching. But I personally did enjoy it, even though I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. So, this is another one that if you pick up, I hope you enjoy it. I kind of stumbled into the manga Library Wars. I have heard of it before, and of course, being a book lover, I have been interested in it, but somehow it's just never been something I've been like, oh, let me pick it up. And I found when I made a visit to my library and went through the manga section, I found a random volume of it. I think it was like volume 3, and I found out that they had only 1 through 4, and so I checked out 1 through 4. I read volume 1, and then I just went ahead and bought the whole series because it just kind of drew me in. It is 15 volumes, so it's a relatively short series, and I do like that it's actually complete, unlike Snow White with the Red Hair and Blue Period that I started this month, and they are not complete. This one is, and I have all the volumes, so I will be finishing it. I read the first 3 these past few months, and so far I can say I really enjoy it. It's in a near future in Japan, where Japan has decided to start censoring media. Anything that is deemed too violent, too sexually graphic, things that could be misconstrued, that have problematic phrases, could be pulled. And it follows our main character, who had one of her favorite series of books wound up banned because it had a problematic phrase. And this was while she was in high school, so there was nothing she could do about it. And it's rescued by a librarian. And so in this world, the librarians have banded together because the local governments disagree with the national government, saying everything, this needs to be censored. They say there should be no censorship. People should be free to read what they want. So they kind of rescue these books that the censorship bureau will take. And the library will take them instead and let people check them out. And I just found this very interesting because, again, obviously liking books, I disagree with censorship because it just seems to me that if you censor something, you can prevent somebody from asking an important question, such as, well, why is this like that? Or why is this wrong? And it may not be that they're a bad person, but it may be that they're just perhaps too young to understand why something is wrong. And then, if they read this book with it in it, and then they can see that if character A does something to character B, Like, say character A punches character B, and now character B is upset and hurt, then they can grow from that and make that connection that, oh, punching people's bad because it hurts them and it upsets them. I shouldn't hurt people. I shouldn't punch people. And yes, that does seem self-evident, and I feel like that's a very simplistic explanation, obviously. But that's kind of what it boils down to for me. And so I just find this a very interesting exploration of that. And this is another Soho Beat series, so there is a little bit of romance, but I feel like compared to most of the Soho Beat series I have read in the past, this has a lot more action and a lot less focus on the romance. This is one of the few where I've actually seen battles. There is a point when the censorship bureau tries to get into the library and take some of these books that the library has, and they have a full-blown battle. And so, like I said, so far I found it interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the main character, just because it seems like she's supposed to be in this elite squad. She doesn't seem to have elite skills. But other than that, I have really enjoyed it. So the final of the 4 manga series that I've started these past few months is Yotsuba and I. This is another one I'd been hearing about for a while, and I finally got around to looking through my library to see if they had it, and they actually did have the whole series, and this is, like I said, the second one that's complete that I have started these past few months, so I'm glad that I have another one that's actually complete. It's 15 volumes, and I've read the first 7 so far. It follows this young girl named Yotsuba. She's 5, and in this series, she basically kind of just lives her life, goes around exploring her new neighborhood, making friends, and learning stuff. And it's just kind of really cute and lighthearted, and she sees absolutely everything as an adventure, and she doesn't let anything get her down. When it rains, yay, I have puddles to jump in. And when the sun comes out, yay, it's sunny. So it's just kind of one of those really cute little relaxing stories. And I'm definitely looking forward to finishing it up. And I want to say it only follows her through the year she's 5 to 6, because at 6, that's when she starts school. I'm not entirely sure, though, obviously, because I haven't finished it. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting through that. And I'm also going to try to get through Library Wars in the next month. I don't know how far I'll get, because, it's 30 volumes total that they were, and I've only read 10 of them, which leaves me 20. So we'll see about that. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked this.